All right, welcome, bienvenidos. We are excited to have you all here today. I'm Carly Foster, and you're also joined by many other members of the project team, and we are also really grateful to have any subject matter experts and agency representatives here tonight, and we'll introduce them throughout the program. Just a quick note on translation services tonight. For American Sign Language interpretation, we will be spotlighting our interpreter. Please also feel free to pin the interpreter or other speakers at will. If you do not see the closed captioning and would like to, you can opt in by clicking the closed captioning on the screen. And Boone is also going to drop into the chat instructions for folks to reach the Spanish translation. So I'll provide a minute for that. Is there anything else that we want to add about the ASL interpretation tonight? Any of our interpreters?
Is Spanish the only one available? Or are there any other languages besides Spanish that are available for translation?
Right, for tonight's meeting, we have Spanish and American Sign Language available. However, there may be an opportunity to translate the meeting recordings to other languages on request.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. All right, so before we begin, please let us know in the chat how you heard about the meeting tonight. And if you're viewing on the live stream and want to join the breakouts, please go to tinyurl.com/NENJ-MTG-3. And we'll be sharing this link multiple times just in case for folks to be able to join. So we have some quick housekeeping to take care of before we get started. So to ensure that we limit background noise, we ask that everyone remain on mute when not speaking. And if you've joined us by dialing in, you can mute and unmute yourself by pressing *6. And just during the initial presentation, we ask that you keep the video off during unless you're speaking, so that the ASL interpreter can be most prominent. However, when speaking, come back on video, and then we'd love to see everybody's faces, of course, during the breakout. And I'd like to introduce Drew Curtis from the Ironbound Community Corporation to talk about our community meeting guidelines tonight. Are you with us, Drew?
Yeah. Hey, y'all, I am. I didn't know I was doing this, but that's okay. Well, hi, thanks for the intro, Carly. Drew, I work with Ironbound Community Corporation. I'm on the project steering committee, and excited to see so many people out here tonight to hopefully have a great meeting. To make sure we're doing that, if you can, turn on your camera. We'd love to see everyone's smiling faces, if your camera's working, of course. Also, as Carly was getting at before, I'm going to make sure that we can hear everybody, so please mute yourself if you're not talking. We use one mic, one person speaks at a time. And then if you need to speak or say something, you can either use the raise hand function here on Zoom or type the word stack in the chat box, and we'll be sure to add you to the queue for speaking. And then let's acknowledge everyone's voice and time. If you feel yourself speaking a lot, maybe step back and allow somebody else to speak. And then vice versa. If you're not speaking, we want you to step up and please speak and join the conversation too. Always remember too to speak from your own experience and use I statements too. And just respect everyone here too. But yeah, and most importantly, let's have fun tonight, y'all. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Drew. So the meeting today is scheduled from 4 to 5:30. We do have another meeting from 6:30 to 8, which will cover a lot of the same content, and we'll talk about that in a moment. It's going to happen in two parts. First, we have a short upfront presentation. It should take about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less. And then the breakout rooms where we'll provide more information and answer questions. And throughout the upfront presentation, please feel free to ask questions in the chat. Our team will make an effort to respond to those questions, and either in the chat directly, or we can do it also at the end of the presentation before the breakouts. And if there's any questions that we don't get to during the meeting, we'll follow up those responses. And you can also always email us. The meeting, as I mentioned before, is being recorded, and the initial presentation and one of the breakouts will be live streamed. We'll live stream a different breakout for each of the meeting sessions tonight. And we will also post the recordings to YouTube and our website in both English and Spanish. So this is our third region-wide community meeting for Resilient Northeastern New Jersey. And during our first meeting, we dove deeply into flood experiences that people have, their vision and priorities. And during our second meeting, we worked together to plan solutions for some example parts of the region to help the project team refine our understanding of what you all want to see. And this meeting is really going to accomplish two goals tonight. First, we want to update you on what we've done so far with the technical analysis and also with the feedback that you've given us to date. And we'll talk about what solutions we're in the process of developing, some interim steps we're taking, and what you can expect next. That's going to be one of our breakouts, and we'll touch base on that at a higher level in the upfront presentation. But we've also heard a lot from folks about how people want guidance about what they can do to protect their own homes and businesses, how to navigate insurance, how to access financial resources that might be available post-disaster, how to prepare for flooding. So we'll also have two other breakouts today with presentations from subject matter experts, representatives from FEMA and the Small Business Administration, from flood insurance industry, and also New Jersey's Office of Emergency Management. We are really excited about having these folks on the line today. Please ask them lots of questions. And as I mentioned, we'll be posting the recordings. There'll be lots of time for question and answer with them as well. So you'll be able to actually freely move between different breakouts. However, we recommend that you start in the breakout that interests you most so that you can catch their initial upfront presentations. And you can always go back and listen to any that you might have missed. And then, as I mentioned before, we're having the same meeting tonight at 6:30 in case you really wanted to kind of be there in person for another presentation that you might have missed. So what is Resilient Northeastern New Jersey all about? It's a partnership between Jersey City, Newark, Hoboken, Bayonne, Hudson County, and the community-based organizations of Ironbound Community Corporation, you met Drew a moment ago, and Hope's Community Assistance Partnership. And representatives of each of those entities sit on the steering committee. The project is funded and administered through New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and it's further guided by a community advisory council that's comprised of a diverse group of residents from each municipality. And I see Ahmed here tonight, right up front. Hi, Ahmed, from the Community Advisory Council. So some of those folks are here tonight as well. And that council meets formally quarterly with collaboration in between, and they're a paid part of the project team. The consultant support consists of an interdisciplinary team of engineers, scientists, technology developers, and planners from the organizations that are listed at the bottom of this slide. And we actively reach out and integrate input from local and community-based organizations. We actively engage with local, state, and federal agencies that might affect flood risk in the region, and input and decision support from community members like you all and others that may not even have been able to be here tonight is extremely critical to project success. So we'll take a moment to introduce the members of the project team tonight, and then we'll introduce the folks that will be participating in the breakouts a little bit later on. So Yasmin Kassar from Hoboken,
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Yasmin. I am an environmental planner and project manager at the City of Hoboken, and I'm also on the steering committee for the Resilient New Jersey project. It's a pleasure to meet you all and be here this evening.
Welcome, Yasmin. And Ahmed, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, my name is Ahmed and I'm from Bayonne. And yeah, just kind of here to learn and see what we can do to kind of help our current community get over this flooding thing. That's all.
Great, thank you for being here. And Lindsay from Jersey City.
Hi everyone, Lindsay Sigmund here from City of Jersey City. I'm the environmental planner with the Division of City Planning, also on the steering committee, and I'll be in one of the breakouts, so looking forward to chatting with some of you.
Great. And we have Meg Kavanaugh from NJDEP.
Hi, everyone. I'm Meg Kavanaugh. I work in NJDEP's Bureau of Climate Resilience Planning. I'm coordinating with this project. I'm not leading a breakout group, but excited to be here.
Thank you. And we've got Sue from the City of Bayonne on as well.
Hey, well, happy whatever afternoon it is for Wednesday afternoon. I'm Sue Mack, I'm the city planner, and I was here just to hang out with Ahmed and all of you.
Great. And we have Emily Goldstein from NJDEP on the line as well.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm also a planner like Meg with New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and I'm the assistant project lead for this project. Really excited to meet you all and can't wait to hear some great feedback.
Thank you. All right. Did I miss anyone from the steering committee? Okay. So Resilient Northeastern New Jersey is looking specifically at flood risk, but we're also exploring whether it might be possible to integrate heat as well, based on feedback that we've received through surveys and community meetings to date. And so when evaluating flood risk, it's important to consider both tidal and sunny day flooding and storm-related flooding, whether it's coastal flooding or flooding from rainfall. In the previous two community meetings, we explored flood maps of the communities we're working in, and we also talked about experiences that folks have had with flooding so far. So if you have not had a chance to share your own experiences or where you've experienced flooding in the past, please feel free to drop your feedback into the chat and we will make sure that it's integrated. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection has developed new flood models that look at these various types of flooding, both now and in the future in 2070, with 2.4 feet of sea level rise and a 10% increase in rainfall. We've now received those models and we're working with them, and we'll be able to share the results at our next region-wide community meeting early in the new year. So speaking of the schedule, we launched the project this spring and the final action plan is expected in May of 2022. So we're exactly halfway through from a time perspective. The project is being managed in waves and each wave will have different sets of questions for your feedback. And this wave specifically is focused on developing resilient scenarios and solutions, as well as refining our understanding of risk with the new flood models I just mentioned. So based on your feedback this winter and spring, a preferred scenario is going to be selected for the final plan. And as we move through the project, we have been publishing our findings for your feedback to let us know whether we've gotten it right, whether we've been hearing folks correctly. We just released the vision and priorities report, and we'll be talking about that with you today in more detail in the vision breakout, and I'll touch base on this in more detail also in a moment. One important thing to note is that we recognize that Resilient New Jersey is not happening in a vacuum. It's critical that we consider work that is underway in the region. And so the visioning report includes an inventory of existing resilience-related projects and efforts. And from your brief review of this image, I'm sure you can see that there's a lot of work underway. Resilient Northeastern New Jersey, in addition to identifying and helping new solutions be implemented, is kind of acting like needle and thread to tie these initiatives together and understand how they will work together to reduce flood risk and what the gaps and the opportunities are. That work is underway from municipal, state, and federal agencies. It consists of flood protection efforts, infrastructure improvements, wetlands restoration, stormwater management, green infrastructure, and also projects within the long-term control plans. We're also looking at redevelopment areas in the region to understand how development patterns may change flood risks in the future, and to understand how climate change is being factored into decision-making. The redevelopment areas that we're looking at are highlighted on this map, and they're also provided in the visioning report, which Boone is going to drop the link to that into the chat. The purpose of this slide is really to communicate to you all that a huge part of this project is listening, and we want to make sure that we're hearing things correctly. This is the engagement that's happened to date to help produce the Vision and Priorities report. Most materials that we have are translated into Spanish, and the Vision report is in the process of being translated, so that should be available within the next few weeks. But we also have flyers, project information, a survey, and art sheets that have been translated into 10 different languages that have been prioritized for this region. It is an incredibly diverse region. Our steering committee, which has representatives of each city, the Ironbound Community Corporation and Hopes, meets most weeks. The Community Advisory Council, which has 3 residents from each community, meets quarterly and also joins other engagement work that we do. And we open the project by meeting with community-based organizations across the region to get their feedback on how we can do engagement properly, and we work to keep them informed during the project. We've also visited each community. We've met with residents and officials to talk about challenges and opportunities. And as I mentioned before, this is our 3rd region-wide community meeting. We also held a workshop with state and federal agencies and have held lots of small group and interview meetings with utilities, infrastructure providers, and others. We've collected a lot of information through social media, through surveys, through emails, but that is not the end. We recognize that even with all of that work, we've only scratched the surface of the number of folks that can be involved and should be sharing their feedback with us. So if you have any ideas for how we can increase or improve engagement, please feel free to let us know in the chat. And so before we get into the meat of today, I also want to share how you can get and stay involved in the project. We have set up multiple ways that you can get in touch with us and share your feedback outside of these meetings. Our website, which the team is going to drop into the chat, is updated continuously through the project. It's got our meeting information, reports, links to surveys, and you can engage with us on social media, email us. You can also reach us through our hotline. And we have surveys. We're going to be releasing our next survey soon, so be on the lookout for that through our website and social media. There's also materials on the website for you to conduct your own meeting about the project if you'd like to, and or interviews. So you can meet for coffee, have a conversation, a Zoom call. And then the final opportunity is through this engagement app. You can download it. It's a way to provide input to us whenever it comes to you. As you're moving around your city, you can take a photo, you can add a thought, you can post it. You can also access all our surveys through this. So some of what we've heard from you so far is about how flooding impacts life, and we've integrated this into the report. We're understanding that, the perception of this problem is that it's getting worse, and that some folks, actually a number of folks, have reported to us having anxiety or rainxiety every time that it rains. There's concerns that people are sharing with us about health impacts, damage to property and belongings, and loss of life. And they want to see this resolved. And we've heard a lot of feedback about protection of the most vulnerable populations, as well as creating multiple use spaces that not only address flooding and provide community value. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the vision. This process has also taken place during a season of significant flood hazard. Some of the areas that we've been speaking with have flooded 5 times this year, and that's a lot. And so we've gotten feedback that people want to see solutions implemented quickly. They want to see us integrate emergency response and preparedness professionals into the process. You know, the original plan for Resilient Northeastern New Jersey was looking, you know, long-term and short-term, but was sort of not focusing on the preparedness elements. That's shifted now. And we are planning to engage the emergency management community a lot more deeply beginning in early 2022. And this meeting is sort of the beginning of that, as we've got some professionals here today. The communities in response to this feedback have also developed some flood report mappers, which we'll be sharing. And we are developing actively some FEMA funding applications for stormwater projects that have been highlighted as key opportunities, as well as a resilience hub concept that was born from the engagement feedback that we've gotten so far. And then another thing that we've been doing is we're looking for ways to provide more resources to folks about the questions that they have. And so tonight's meeting is a big part of that. We'll also be developing an IDA after action report that we'll be able to share sometime in the winter. So next steps, we'll be having more community meetings. We'll be specifically deep diving into potential solutions for each municipality. We've broken down the region into 13 different study areas, which we'll talk about in the vision breakout. We're working on a youth engagement strategy, which we'll be implementing in sort of an ad hoc way in the fall and winter, but in a much more kind of deliberate way in the spring. We're working on engaging the emergency management community, utilities, and others, and we're planning our next region-wide meeting in early 2022. There's also a number of supporting technical analyses that are underway based on feedback that we've gotten so far about long-term control plans, contaminated sites, the IDA after action, and we are working on developing the solution scenarios. So we are going to be talking about, we're going to be breaking out into these 3 breakouts. I mentioned the vision and next steps quite a lot, but the other 2 breakouts will cover risk mitigation and financial resources and preparedness. And we're going to be introducing some of the professionals so that you can get a better idea of what you'll be hearing about, and so you can make an informed selection of which direction you'd like to go. As I mentioned before, you can decide which topic interests you most. You can either chat Megan Bushlow to let her know where you would like to go, or you can choose on your own. If at any point in time you'd like to move rooms, then just chat Megan. So Boone's going to drop the link to the vision and priorities report into the chat. Oh, it's already in there, so that's great. That report covers our goals and values, recommendations that we've received on specific solutions that we're exploring. It also includes the published toolkit and existing projects that are happening in the region. And the team is going to walk through some of the different solution types and some of the things that are being directly explored. During the financial support and preparedness breakout, we will have Brian Miller speaking to individual assistance. Jack Camp is joining us from the Small Business Administration to speak about that funding source. Andrew Farrell will speak about flood insurance, and Sergeant Clint Pagano will be talking about New Jersey's Office of Emergency Preparedness and Management and their role. So I'm going to let them have a couple minutes to talk about the things that they'll be mentioning in the breakouts to help you decide. Brian?
Hello, everybody, and thank you for inviting me. First of all, what I'll be discussing or talking about will be the part that FEMA plays more so in the recovery aspect of an event once there's a presidentially declared disaster. And let's discuss some of the financial availability and the process of applying and the how that the awards can help you move forward with your recovery.
Great, thank you, Brian. Jack?
Good evening. My name's Jack Camp. I'm a PIO with the Small Business Administration, and I'm here to talk about our low interest disaster loan program, which, don't let our name fool you, it's available for homeowners and renters as well as businesses that have been affected by a declared disaster. We're here in the state currently working hand in hand with our partners with FEMA to offer these loans for people who had damages from the remnants of Hurricane Ida.
Thank you, Jack. Andrew?
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Farrell, and I work with Risk Reduction Plus Group. I specialize in flood insurance. I do flood insurance all over the nation. Today, I'm going to go over some of the new changes that happened. The National Flood Insurance Program, or the NFIP, just recently changed the way they rate properties in October. So I'm going to review that for you, as well as some different options to help lower your flood insurance, whether it be through mitigation or with private flood insurance carriers.
Thank you. And Sergeant Clint Pagano?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Clint Pagano. I'm with the State Police. I am in our Emergency Response Bureau. I'm going to be talking just about residential preparedness and storm preparedness for things like flooding and things that people can do to keep their property and themselves safe during a storm.
Thank you, Sergeant. And so that is the financial and preparedness breakout. So if you would like to start in that breakout, you can join directly or you can let Megan know. So I'll now introduce those that are going to join our risk mitigation for residents and businesses. So you'll notice a theme here. The first one was really about kind of the non-physical things that you can do. And this is more about ways that you could make adjustments to your individual property, whether it's a resident or a business. Brian Shaw is going to be joining us to talk about ways that you can flood proof your home. Valerie Huffnagel will be talking to us about stormwater and landscape architecture improvements. And Michelle Deary will be talking, about green roofs. So I'll allow them to introduce themselves now. Thank you, Brian.
Hey, good evening. Thank you. So Brian Shaw with floodproofing.com. I'm a certified floodplain manager. What I'm going to be talking about is really about flood barriers and flood panels, really how to keep the floodwater out of your building. The main entry points, whether it's doors, windows, there are different product solutions that can keep that water out. Some, have advantages of speed of deployment, storage. There are, different pricing options, but what I'm going to go over are all of the options that are out there and available, because it's really not a one size fits all. And yeah, thank you. Look forward to it.
Thank you, Brian. Valerie?
Hi, everyone. Valerie Huffnagel. I'm president and CEO of Huffnagel Landscape Design and Construction Group. We've been working with both Hoboken and Jersey City for many, many years, dealing with stormwater and how to create stormwater detention tanks. They seem to be getting larger, which I guess is not the best of things, but it's a way to control water from going to other areas in your home and also to beautify the area.
Thank you, Valerie. And Michelle?
Hello, everybody. My name is Michelle Deary, and I am the New Jersey Live Roof representative and a green roof professional, and my background's in landscape architecture. I'm going to discuss how green roofs can help to mitigate flooding and how adding green roofs to regulations can help improve communities and reduce flooding in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before we move into the breakouts, and I'm going to put these up, we'll open it for questions for a couple minutes. Let me just see if there's been one that came into the chat. It's hard to see the chat while you're speaking. Okay. Yes, absolutely, Alexander. It might make sense to do that in the flood mitigation breakout. Or if you'd like everybody to hear it, I think that's fine too. Do you like to share?
Sure, absolutely. So like I said, my name is Alexander Marescu. I work for the City of Jersey City. I span the Department of Health and Human Services and the Office of Innovation, where I am supporting a lot of the disaster risk reduction, urban resilience efforts for stormwater capture, flood mitigation, looking specifically at the different types of structural void space technologies and structural soil cell technologies that we can integrate into the right of way, into traffic areas, as well as into integrating them into some of the street milling projects that we have in the city. And so we are doing quite a lot of that. Part of what the strategies that we're looking at is reaching out to various private sector companies that specialize in different structural approaches, structural void space technologies, things that can be backfilled with growth mediums, so you can integrate tree canopy. That's the interesting multi-hazard perspective that we're pursuing in Jersey City as we're looking at for some of these projects, and looking to integrate as much flood mitigation and stormwater management, as much as the other risk factors, the non-hydrometeorological risk factors of air quality, tree canopy, and urban heat. So all this is a multi-hazard perspective, and we're literally just starting to roll out some of these projects, and we've been working specifically with some private sector providers. I come from that private sector, urban resilience space and consulting space. I do projects on this for the World Bank and the United Nations. And so there's a whole wealth of urban planning, urban design, landscape management, construction, aggregates, concrete, soil sectors that all come together. And yeah, so maybe at one point I can even share some more specifically with some of the things we're looking at.
That would be great. It sounds like you should go in that risk mitigation room, or even the visioning room.
Whatever you think is best, Carly.
All right, thank you. Okay, so Megan, are you ready to open the rooms?
Yep.
Okay.